fellow readers, and welcome to my year in review wrap-up for all the books that I read in 2023, including what my favorites are, just highlighting some of the best, especially those that I might not have highlighted in my top 10 books for 2023, and my top 5 for the manga and light novel. So yeah, let's review all the books I read in 2023, and just go over some of the highlights. Okay, so here's my year in review, my final look at 2023 and the year that was. It's so funny because I feel like I set goals in the end of 2022, beginning of this year, that was really about like trying to take it easy, not feel pressured, what have you. And I ended up reading more this year than I did last year, and it's wild. I don't think there's any reason for it. I just would pick up what I wanted to read or something that I was excited to read, or I knew I had to read like the advanced reader copies of books that I really wanted to read and review, or my book club book picks, like I had to get through those. But then like a lot of ones I just wanted to read, a lot of light novels that I wanted to read, a lot of manga or graphic novels in general that I wanted to read. And I just did it. Like I just pushed myself to. And I'm not going to stick too long on, this reading log that I keep because I do a quarterly review. So you've probably seen most of these, or if you haven't, you can go back and watch them where I talk more specifically about these titles. But I'm just going to scroll through to the end. At mid-year, let's see, we were at about 345 books. And at the end of that mid-year month, because I'm not sure which better to start with, we were at 421. And so most of the reading that I did was in that first half of the year. But that being said, I still finished another like 300 books and ended the year at 721 books. We have a little reread here because I did go back over the first volume of Mame Coordinate so that I could finish that series and get it over with. But yeah, I don't know. I had a pretty good time reading, and sometimes I was actually reading a giant physical book, and I remembered how much I actually enjoy that. And it was a good time. I will quickly take a look at some of my stats and everything that just finalized the year. I don't know if some of these are accurate because it stops tracking like the time and everything. Like it doesn't show it on my chart after I get past whatever they've programmed in, and I keep trying to reset it so that it goes to the other parts of the column, and I can't get it to work. I don't know why. But this is obviously still accurate. The total read. There was none that were DNF'd. I like the breakdown of the countries that I read from the most. So obviously a big chunk from the USA. A nice chunk from the UK, some Canadian authors. Australia's there, China, France, Ireland, then a ton from Japan, and then some from Korea, New Zealand I had this year, and Nigeria, and then Spain. So that was pretty fun. You can see the monthly stats. So the two highest months were February and March. The third highest was July, and then how many it broke down to. So first part of the year, we would say about 50 books a month, with a few where I doubled that. And then toward the end of the year, I got through 30 books. That was good. And then a breakdown here of print books, 358. Again, I think a good percentage of this is manga, and then some of my light novels that I read this year. The digital, this will probably all be the arcs that I read this year, with maybe a few other books sprinkled in, because I think I finished a light novel that was digital only. And then audio, 312. And then it breaks down genre. And star ratings. I gave one book a 1 star. I'm going to have to find which book that was, because I'm not sure which one that was. And I gave 2 books 2.5 stars. I kind of want to find them because I don't remember. I'm usually not too harsh with books. I'm usually pretty fair of a judge, like where it takes a lot to really upset me in a book to where I'm going to rate you very low. So you can see the majority of my reading is for fun. I had 19 books in here for book club. That's because some of my books I did not reread. Like if I had already read the book, but my book club decided to do it, I didn't always reread, because that should technically be more like 24, but if I didn't have to reread, I did not. And then look at this genre. And we'll take a quick look at the charts. I don't want to get too much into this. I think I'll just scroll through it, because I feel like if you want to know anymore, I mean, you pretty much can get it. And a lot of this I was saying on the other one, it's just a different way of looking at the information. But this really helps me to see it too. Like maybe there's some things I want to focus on for next year. I think most of this stuff is fine, like where the books are from originally, and about protagonists, everything. I think all that's fine. I think the only thing that I would maybe try to do for 2024 is read a little bit more nonfiction. I think other than that, I'm a pretty fair and split reader. I don't have like one type of genre that I'll only read. I don't have, certain authors that I'll only read. I try to always be a diverse reader in many ways of that word. So I don't know. The only thing that, like I said, I'd like to get more of is nonfiction. I had like a bunch of crime, because that's one of my favorite nonfictions is true crime, that I had like set that I wanted to read or listen to the audio, and then I either just kept forgetting or I ran out of time and I didn't get to them in 2023. But maybe 2024 will allow me to do that, because I would have a really happy time. That sounds disturbing, but it is what it is. And I just want to, of course, end this year in review by looking at Goodreads. First, I'll just show that this little email that I got to do my year in review. So your 2023 year in books is here, and I'm in the top 25% based on the number of books that I read this year. And I would just say that this was sent when I hadn't even finished filling out the year yet. So at that point, I think I was just over 600, maybe 650 or so. So I did add quite a few books after this came out, because I just hadn't caught up on my Goodreads yet. I had a lot that I needed to finish filling in for the year. So yay, I'm in the top 25%. And I'm like, how many of the other 25% is bots? Whereas I'm a person. Anyway, let's go to my books. So here is my final look at 2023. This is my year in books. That's a heck of a lot of pages read. Almost 200,000 pages read. 721 books read. And let's just get into it. I like that it does count these separately as their own separate books, but I wish that they had compiled it into like a short story collection, because it's like, oh, here's your shortest book at 29 pages, and like, no kidding, it was a short story. And the longest book, oh, okay, that makes sense. I wonder if this was one of my 2.5 star books, because it might have been. This is just not my favorite. And it was my longest book at 805 pages. My average book length was 269 pages. My most shelved finished book from this year was The Shining, and my least shelved book was Candy Flurry, which, yeah, definitely I don't think a lot of people know about this manga. I think I was looking for other magical girl manga and found Candy Flurry, and it's very weird. But it is, yeah. I think they only have the ebook available, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you have to read that digitally. My average rating for 2023 is 4.3 stars. And my highest rated read on Goodreads is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. And which volume is that? 17. I gotta say, this series just kept getting better and better. I have, I think, the latest volume that I need to read still. But this story is impressive, like how deep and dark it gets. And I enjoy it very, very much. And I feel like not enough people talk about Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. Like, I mean, that's silly because there's an anime, like, it's obviously popular, but I feel like I don't hear as many people talking about it online as other series that I don't think are done as successfully as this one. So, if you want a good one, go for that series. My first review of the year was for the advanced reader copy for And Put Away Childish Things by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And you can read that if you want to, but I don't need to relive it. And then we just go through the list of where it started. And what's funny is I started the year with, well, it's the very first book I read, but I started the year with a Ruth Ware book, and I know I ended the year with a Ruth Ware book. Some of these feel like so long ago. Like, it's wild. It's wild to me. I did a reread of Sorcery of Thorns because this is a favorite of mine. And it was just as good the second time around. This is a super cute book, A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. I would recommend that one. I think that T. Kingfisher's more fantasy-esque stories are better than the more horror-esque stories, even though I enjoy a lot of the horror too. I really enjoy the fantasy ones. Run on Your New Legs, that was this year. It's so wild. I love getting to see the year broken down this way because actually seeing like the covers all laid out, it just helps me get a fuller sense of the year and what I read and maybe how those impressions of the books stayed with me. The Sally Rooney, this was a reread this year and it was for my book club. Oh, I forgot The Princess of Convenient Plot Devices was from this year too. I didn't really talk much about this Matthew Quick book, We Are the Light. I'm actually a big fan of a lot of Matthew Quick's books. I think it's The Good Luck of Right Now or something similar to that is like one of my favorites. I just love that story so much. But this one is really very dark and sad, and it deals with a shooting and the after effects of that shooting and the psychological impact it has on people. And it was very good, but very it's a very, sensitive topic that I don't know, it was well done though. How I read this huge chunk of Snow White with Red Hair. I need to do that with Yona of the Dawn because I still have like half of the series. No, more than half of the series to read through. And maybe I'll set that as a goal for 2024 because I'd really like to get more caught up. Like, I keep buying the volumes so that I can do it, but I'm so behind. There's I'm Not Cooking. It's just such a good series. I did a reread of Heartstopper because I read Heartstopper on Tapas, the app that it's published through, and but I bought obviously the physical copies. So this year I did a reread through the physical copies, including for 2024 finishing the latest volume, number 5. So good times were had all around. Look at these covers for Phantom Tales of the Night. They're beautiful. It is such great graphic. Like there's a lot in each cover, but the fact that they are like so intricate, and then like the main character is always just like shades of black and white and gray, is amazing. I love them. I love the covers so much, and it's a good series too. One of my hidden series I love, The Other Worlds book, depend on the bean counter. I love when it highlights like the books that I really liked, like the big 5-star ones, and I'm like, yes, I loved this book. I kind of wish In the Lives of Puppets were more like enlarged the way that this one is, because I liked that book more than this one. But you know, it's all right. This was good. I've seen mixed reviews of A House with Good Bones, but I gotta say I did like it. Like it was so oddly disturbing, and it is more horror. I don't even think I'm halfway through the year yet. No, because if there's The Measure, that was definitely not at the halfway. But this is a little triangle of really good books. I mean, Lockwood and Company was enjoyable too, and I'm kind of sad that the show didn't get another season, but it is what it is. I need to do a reread or re-listen to Divine Rivals because I just got the second book in, so I need to remember all the intricacies. Loved this one, Lonely Castle in the Mirror. I forgot about that book, but I loved that book. Thought that was very emotional. I like a lot of like emotional books. I am an emotional kind of person. I'm drawn to characters and emotion or feeling in books. I thought this was a really cute romance. I actually remember when Catherine Center wrote more kind of emotional stories. I mean, not that it's not in this, but it's definitely like the books have been swinging more toward traditional romance. Whereas before it didn't have to be a romance. Like it was more about recovery and like things that happened, like impactful incidents, and then how the character was recovering emotionally and mentally from those. But this was good, and it has to do with an artist gets injured. I can't remember how the accident occurs, but she ends up with face blindness. And then her relationship, we'll just say the relationship to people who might be only one person Anyway, it was good. I enjoyed that a lot. I thought Riley Sager's book from this year was a win. Not all of them are wins for me, but I think this year was a win. I like the kind of Lizzie Borden-esque story that it told. The Color Purple is a great classic now. If you haven't read it, you should pick up that book. None of This Is True was a great Lisa Jewell book. I loved this so much. That was a great read. Kristen Hanna, any of her more historical fiction ones, I would recommend. And this year, I think I finished both. Yeah, because Four Winds was up earlier. Four Winds and The Great Alone, and they were both excellent. Fourth Wing, I have talked about and reviewed. That's like, it just hit a spot that worked for me when I read it. The second book was okay, but there's some choices in there I didn't like as much as how the first one was done. I would say these books are like the reason that I feel like you can't trust book talk. This one is a series of stories, The Miracles of the Nemea General Store. It was very sweet and emotional. I liked this book. Spice and Wolf, I love. Oh, I forgot I'm Not Done With You Yet was this year too. That was a good. Jesse Q. Sutanto. I feel like I've read quite a few of their books. I have reviewed and talked about this, but yeah. There's some good series. Like just seeing them here, I'm like, oh yeah, it was a good time. I feel like there was a lot of successful books this year. I'm trying to look at the covers and like see how long ago it was that I read them. I'm like, how much further? I think we're definitely getting closer. I will say the one thing that I didn't finish in 2023 that I guess I better finish pretty soon is I did not do the final. Well, actually, I didn't do the final Brandon Sanderson book or the surprise final Brandon Sanderson story. So I have to finish both of those. Okay, so here's another T. Kingfisher that I absolutely loved, and I was almost going to pass up on reading this because I was like, well, I don't know if I'll like it. But then I grabbed it. I loved Nettle and Bone. I definitely would recommend this one if you like dark fantasy, like kind of blending horror with the fantasy. Yeah, this is like a dark fairy tale. It's really good. I always like looking too to see if I can remember like most of these. Actually, a lot of them I do remember as I'm going by them and enjoyed a lot of them very much. I did not like Pineapple Street. I was seeing this everywhere, so I took it out. I didn't like it. I thought they were all like entitled horrible people. I just didn't like it. It wasn't a good time. I did like The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. I thought this was really good. Not everybody loves this one, but for me, it was a great family story, and I like kind of the fantastical elements in it. So I loved this one. And then the Guncle, really loved. I liked Mr. Magic, but I didn't love the ending. But I would kind of recommend this. I love ones that deal with like, well, again, I'm kind of, it's kind of easy to know because I like Five Nights at Freddy's. That I like analog horror. I like the whole mascot horror. Like I like things like that. So Mr. Magic kind of fits in there, where there was like an old kids TV show and there was some darker things that were going on. I don't know. I liked it. Didn't love the ending, but I liked it. The Family Game, there is a scene in here that still sticks in my head that had to do with the Krampus. And that's all I'll say. Like, it was wild. It was wild. I have not talked about this series, but The Vampire and His Pleasant Companions, I loved. And I thought it was going to be done at volume 4, but then when it got to volume 4, it looks like there's more that should continue. But I don't know if I've seen anything about a volume 5. But it looks like there's more to the series, so I don't know. I'm a little confused. I loved The Wake Up Call. It's like a misunderstanding that leads to kind of a enemies to lovers scenario. But that was good. I really liked that. The Christmas Guest I enjoyed. This was a great one. Where if you want to read it around Christmas time, go ahead and save it until next Christmas. But it's like, it'll only take a little while to read. It's a novella. So it's a one sitting read. It was designed that way specifically, but it was really good. I enjoyed it very much. Yeah. I, of course, still love the Tales from the Coffee Shop. So this was the latest. And before we say goodbye, it was really good. I actually end up with 2 copies of this book because I bought the signed edition from Waterstones, but it was a little bit taller than the US edition. So I got the US edition so that I can keep that with the other books so that they look good together on the shelf. And then I'll just save the signed UK edition, which technically is a nicer edition than the US ones, but I don't know. It irritated me the way it looked on the shelf. Assistant to the Villain. I've talked about this book. It was good. I enjoyed that from this year. Coraline is such a good story, and it has an excellent audiobook. So if you want kind of the vibes of childhood where somebody's reading you a story, get the audiobook for Coraline. It's so good. Okay, here we're coming to the around October or October itself part, so not too much longer. But yeah, I discovered the Eve Chase books. I feel like I don't remember how or why, but a lot of them are kind of like family or sister stories and like these old houses, and there's usually like a family secret or something that gets revealed, and I don't know, I had a good time with those books. I don't know if there's anything else that I want to point out. In general, it's a good time. I will say what you were looking for is in the library. I thought I would like this more than I did. It's not a bad book. It is another, like, in the ways that a lot of the Japanese books that come overseas are. It's more like a compilation of the shorter stories that all tie into one narrative. But I don't know. I didn't feel as connected to these as, say, like the Tales from the Cafe or the Miracles of the Namiya General Store. So, I don't know. It's not that I wouldn't recommend it, because I still thought it was good. but I just didn't fall in love with it as much as some of the other books. From the Red Fog, which I think is this one, ended kind of abruptly. Like I didn't know where we were going with it, and I'm still not sure how I feel about that series. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I guess it ended as best as it could, but I don't know that I felt like really satisfied. Dungeons and Drama is a really cute YA contemporary romance that, especially if you like nerdy things like gaming and Dungeons and Dragons or musical theater, you will probably think this is really, really cute. And it's a fake dating trope, and I enjoyed it very, very much. I read the arc of it, and I don't remember. I think it is out this month. I don't remember the date, but if you want to check that out, it's really cute YA contemporary romance. I finally got to the September house, and man, that was weird, but it was pretty good. And then there's Ruth Ware. And yeah, here we go. We are wrapping it up officially. I don't know if there's anything I want to say about any of these. I'll say quickly, Wandering Stars, this is another one that's out 2024, is what would I say, continuation? It is like a sequel to They're There by Tommy Orange, which I loved. I read that in 2020 and really loved it. And Wandering Stars continues the story. So if you, which I was kind of like left kind of stunned but wanting more at the end of They're There. If you did, you get more of the story in Wandering Stars. Plus more of like the family's backstory. So would recommend. And then Winter Spirits is a short story collection, and they're gothic horror stories set at Christmas time. And I enjoyed this one very much, as opposed to this one, which I was kind of let down by. And then I finished the year with Jujutsu Kaisen, so it was pretty good. And yes, Wandering Stars was my last review of the year, and I probably could have just read it out, but there you go. And I finished my reading challenge for 2023 and then some. And that's about it. I'll go over to myself to close out my year in review. So there you have my year in reading from 2023. There were so many. I hope not to do that for 2024. I mean, listen, I don't put any limits on myself. I just hope for 2024 that I read the books that I really want to read, that I enjoy reading, and I don't know, that I get through a lot of my light novels so that I don't feel so overwhelmed by light novels. I love them, but so many get released a year that it's hard. But in general, 2023 was a great reading year. I really hope 2024 is as well. But that's it for this video. Until next time.